Biden's tactile politics threaten his return in the MeToo era. Washington U. Joseph R. Biden Jr. came up in politics as an old-school backslapper whose greatest strength was his ability to connect. He doled out hands, but the political ground has shifted under Mr. Biden, and his tactile style of retail politicking is no longer a laughing matter in the era of MeToo. Now, as he can, for Mr. Biden, 76, the risks are obvious. The accusations feed into a narrative that he is a relic of the past, unsuited to represent his party in the modern era, against an incumbent president whose treatment of women should be a central line of attack. Mr. Biden has done. So far, no prominent Democrat has suggested he not run, and the women complaining about him have not claimed sexual harassment or assault. Other women have I don't think it's disqualifying, Speaker Nancy Pelosi said in an. But she added, Gloria Steinem, the feminist icon, said politicians needed to set parameters. The way out is simple. Our bodies and voice. With a vibrant, youthful, and multicultural field of candidates on the Democratic stage, and after a midterm election that into Congress, Mr. Biden is already facing questions about whether this is the time for an older white man to carry his party's banner into 2020. His handling of now some analysts are envisioning President Trump, who to grabbing women without their consent, tagging the former vice president with a nickname that has emerged on the internet, Creepy Uncle Joe. A pro-Trump group. As if on cue, the president went after Mr. Biden at a fundraiser in Washington on Tuesday night. Cracking a joke about it opens the door for a discussion about whether Joe Biden can actually credibly take on Donald Trump on a series of issues that the Democratic Party is seen as quite strong on, said Jennifer L. Wallace, an expert on women in politics at the University of Virginia. The list of women coming forward is growing. Caitlin Caruso, Ms. Caruso, now 22, said she chalked up the encounter at the time to how men act, and did not say anything publicly. But she said it doesn't even really cross your mind that such a person would dare perpetuate harm like that, she said. These are supposed to. D.J. Hill, 59, a writer who recalled meeting Mr. Biden in 2012 at a fundraising event in Minneapolis, said that when she and her husband, Robert, stepped up to take their photograph with the vice president, he put his hand on her shoulder and then started dropping it down her back, which made her very uncomfortable. Her husband, seeing the movement, put his hand on Mr. Biden's shoulder and interrupted with a joke. Ms. Hill did not, only he knows his intent, she said. But norms are changed. Even as these women come forward, a counter-narrative has begun to emerge, from women like Stephanie Carter, the wife of the former Defense Secretary Ashton B. Carter, who has complained that a photograph of Mr. Biden with his hands on her shoulders has been widely misinterpreted. She pushed back, and Aaron Bilbray, a former Democratic congressional candidate from Nevada, also came to Mr. Biden's defense. During a meet and greet, it was a very nurturing, supportive action, said Ms. Bilbray, now 49, who also posted about her encounter with Mr. Biden on Sunday. It was not anything. Mr. Biden has been touchy-feely with men, too, and he is hardly the first politician to make waves for such displays. Former President, but perhaps none have employed the use of touch as liberally as the former vice president. People who know in a Twitter thread on Tuesday, Jean Carnahan, the former senator from Missouri, described how caring Mr. Biden was after she arrived in the Senate, taking the seat of her husband, who had died weeks earlier in a plane crash. Mr. Biden it was his empathy and encouragement more than that of any of my colleagues, that gave me strength to meet each day. And, yes, Meghan McCain expressed similar sentiments. Joe Biden is one of the truly decent and compassionate men in all of American politics. He has helped me through, but touching someone is one thing. Touching completes. This is stuff mostly that he's done in front of everybody, said David Axelrod, who was a senior advisor to President Barack Obama while Mr. Biden was vice president. I am sure there may also be a generational component to that lens. The controversy. Ms. Flores was 35 at the time. She said Sunday on CNN. But Diane Dinesh, 70, who served as lieutenant governor of New Mexico from 2003 through 2010, said she had exactly the same experience with Mr. Biden and had a completely different reaction to it. As they were getting ready to go on stage at a campaign event, Ms. Dinesh said, "Mr. Biden just put his hands on my shoulders and leaned back and said, 'Go get M,' a little peck on the head. I paid so little." On Tuesday, the Biden camp sent reporters quotations from about 24 women, including former aides, current and former members of Congress, and news media personalities including Mika Brzezinski, vouching for the former vice president. "But Ms. Lawless, he can reign in his exuberance, but he is who he is," Mr. Axelrod said. "He can discipline him." Cheryl Gay Stolberg reported from Washington, and Sydney Ember from New York. Patricia Cohen.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.